We're going to look now at volume and surface area. So the units for volume are anything to do with cubes, so millimeters cubed, centimeters cubed, meters cubed, etc. The units for area then are squared. So anything with a squared in it is area. So we're going to look at a few different shapes. The first one we're going to look at then is a cylinder. These are formulas then that you have to learn for a cylinder. Some of the other ones later on you'll be given, but you have to learn these ones here. So the formula for the volume of a cylinder is pi r squared h. So that's the circle at the top times the height of the cylinder. The formula for the curved surface area of a cylinder, so if you think about this like a tin of beans and you're taking the label off the tin, that's the curved bit. Okay, so taking the label off would be the curved bit. So the curved surface area is the circumference, 2 pi r, times the height. And the volume for the total surface area of a cylinder is the curved bit, plus we've got the top, which is a circle, and the bottom, which is a circle. Now the area of a circle is pi r squared, and if we've two of them, that's 2 pi r squared. So we'll go through a few examples. First one then, work out the volume of the cylinders given your answers to one decimal place. So get in the habit of writing out the formula. So our volume is pi r squared h, and then substituting in the value. So pi times 4 squared by the height, which is 10. So that's 4 squared is 16 by 10. That's 160 pi. And then put that into your calculator, 160 pi. And your wee SD button will make it into a decimal. We're asked to do it to one decimal place, so it's 502.7 centimeters cubed because it's volume. Part B then. So again, we're asked for volume, pi r squared h. Now this time in the diagram we've been given the diameter. So the radius, remember, is going to be half of that, so our radius would be 5. So it's pi times 5 squared times 9. So do that on your calculator and we get 225 pi. Hit the wee SD button and we get 706.9 to one decimal place, and the units are centimeters cubed. Number 2 then, work out the volume of the cylinder below given your answer in terms of pi. Okay, so our answer should have a pi in it. So volume is pi r squared h. So that's pi times 2 squared times the height, which is 3. So that's 4 by 3, which is 12. And we can just leave the pi in. We don't have to worry about putting that into the calculator and pressing the SD button. And then our units, centimeters cubed. Okay. Next one's then, work out the height of the cylinder given your answer to one decimal place. So this time we're given the volume and we have to try and work out the height. So put in what we know. So we know the volume is 1,600. We know the radius is 6 and we're trying to find the height. So pi times 6 squared, that's 36 pi on the right hand side. So I'm going to bring that across and divide by 36 pi to get what the height is. So on your calculator, 1,600 divided by 36 pi, and we get 14.1 to one decimal place, and the units are all in centimeters. So this is height, so it's just centimeters, it won't be squared or cubed. Part B. again, we're given the volume, it's 0.11 times, equals pi times 0.2 squared by h. So 0.2 squared is 0.04. So we'll get 0.04 by h. So bring that across and divide by 0.04 pi. So 0.11 divided by 0.04 pi, and we get that h is 0.9 to 1 decimal place. And this is all in meters and meters cubed, so our height will be in meters. Okay, next one then, work out the value of x. So this time they're looking for the radius. So again, write out your formula and fill in what we know. So the volume is 725, the radius is x, and the height is 20. So we'll have 20 pi times x squared. So we're going to bring that 20 pi over and divide by it to get what x squared is. So on your calculator, 725 divided by 20 pi, and that gives us 11.54 for x squared. To get x then, we take the square root and we get 3.4 to 1 decimal place, and this is a length and they're all in centimeters. B then, now this time you can see we're looking for the diameter. X is the diameter, so we'll need to find the radius and then work out the diameter. So V equals pi r squared h. Our volume then, 170, equals pi by r squared by 9. So we have 9 pi on the right hand side, so we're going to divide by 9 pi to get r squared. So 170 divided by 9 pi gives us 6.01. So r then is the square root of that. And we get 2.45. So that means x is 2 times that, because it's the diameter. And I'll only round up now when we get to the last wee bit, and it's 1 decimal place. So 4.9, and our units are centimeters. Okay, then moving on to the area. So calculate the surface area of the following cylinders, given your answer to 2 decimal place. So if it asks for the surface area, that means the total surface area. If it just wants the bit around the curved surface area, that's your label, then it'll state curved surface area. So this is asking for the whole surface area. So our total surface area is 2 pi rh plus 2 pi r squared. So remember, that's the curved bit, and then that's the circle at the top and the circle at the bottom. So put in everything we know, 2 times pi times 8 times 5 plus 2 times pi times 8 squared. So we have 80 pi here, and we have 128 pi here. Adding them together, we get 208 pi. Now we have to do it to 2 decimal places, so 208 pi in your calculator and hit the wee SD button, and we get 653.45. It's area, so our units are centimeters squared. Part B then, Now you'll notice again we've been given the diameter and we want the radius. So the radius is 1.5 meters here. So our total surface area is 2 pi rh plus 2 pi r squared. So that's 2 by pi by 1.5 by the height, which is 2, plus 2 by pi by 1.5 squared. So we have 2 by pi by 1.5 by 2, so that gives us 6 pi. And we have 2 by pi by 1.5 squared, and that gives us 9 over 2 pi. Adding them together, we get 21 over 2 pi. We wanted to 2 decimal places, so we're going to need to hit the wee SD button, and I get 32.99. Its area, the lengths are all in meters, so it's going to be meters squared. Next one then. Calculate the surface area, given your answer in terms of pi then. So again, it just asks for the surface area, so it wants the total surface area. So that's 2 pi rh, the curved bit, plus 2 pi r squared, so that's the top and the bottom. So 2 by pi by, you can see we've been given the diameter there is 6, so the radius would be 3. By 3 by 9, and 2 by pi by 3 squared. So we've got 2 by 3 by 9, so that's 54 pi. And we've got 3 squared, 9 by 2, so that's 18 pi. And then add those together and we get 72 pi. The question asks us to leave it in terms of pi, so we don't have to do anything to it. And then our units, the lengths are all in centimeters, so this is going to be centimeters squared. And our last few now, this is when we're given the area and we're having to find something, okay? So in this one here we're finding the height. So the total surface area is 2 pi rh plus 2 pi r squared, so put in everything we know. So that's 980.18. 2 by pi by 6 by h plus 2 by pi by 6 squared. So let's tidy it up a wee bit. So we've got 12 pi h, that's our first term, and then we've got 6 squared times 2, so that's 72 pi. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this plus 72 pi across and take away 72 pi. So on your calculator, 980.18 minus 72 pi, and we get 753.99. Now I'm going to take this 12 pi across, so it becomes a divide by 12 pi, and that gives us h. So divide by 12 pi on your calculator, and it turns out to be 20 exactly. And it's a height, so it's centimeters. Okay, next one then. So this time our area is given to us in terms of pi. So total surface area equals 2 pi rh plus 2 pi r squared. If they give it to you in terms of pi, it's much easier. So 84 pi equals 2 times pi times 3 times h plus 2 times pi times 3 squared. Now you can see that pi appears in all of the terms, so we can just cancel them all out. So I'm left with 84 equals 2 3s or 6 h plus 3 squared times 2 gives us 18. So that's a nice simple equation to solve. Take away your 18. So we've got 84, take away 18 is 66. And then divide by 6 to get h. So h is 11. The units are all centimetres. So that's 11 centimetres. And our last one then, work out the radius whenever we're given the surface area. So this one's a wee bit harder. So again, write your formula. So our 2 pi r h, that's the curved bit, and 2 pi r squared, that's the top and the bottom. So it's 18 pi equals 2 by pi by r by 8 plus 2 by pi by r squared. Again, you should see that there's pi in each term, so we can cancel those out. So I have 18 here, I've got 16r, and I've got 2r squared. And now this is what makes this one harder. We've got a quadratic to solve, so we'll have to go back to a couple of weeks ago when we were looking at quadratics. So remember, a quadratic has to equal 0, so I'm going to bring the 18 across, and I'm going to put it in the format that we're used to, with the r squared, then the r, then the number. I'm going to divide by 2 to make it easier, and now I'm going to do PSN. So our product is minus 9, our sum is 8. So two numbers that multiply together to give you minus 9 and add to give you 8 are 9 and minus 1. I'm going to rewrite the equation. I'm going to factorize the two pairs. I've got a common bracket, so either r is minus 9 or 1. Now this is where again we have to use a bit of common sense. R stands for the radius. You can't have a radius of minus 9, so that means our answer is r equals 1, and it's centimetres.